Brother, let's talk about it. Oh, brother, let's talk about it. What's eating you up? Or you got some baby mama issues you're dealing with? Brother, let's talk about it. If 2-year-old is living.
This week, I found cause to worry about young men. Most young
Okay, so we'll start all over again. So if you're just joining us, my name is Adefolami Agunbiade, and today
I'm Lois Anichike.
Okay, so Lois is with us. She's co-hosting with me today, and we're discussing what should you do. So for people who are running their businesses, if you're running a business from anywhere across the world, it will be interesting to hear your thoughts. If you need advice, counsel, want to hear exactly the challenges that you are facing, things that you are battling, headaches that you have, and then we'll share our thoughts, particularly on raising funds, on marketing, starting a small business. Because there's just a general assumption people have that once you start a business, the motivational school of thought that
It's not giving their speeches after. Just like there's this big break that just comes immediately after.
Okay, and if you've ever run a business, they'll tell you that it's hard, it's hell. Running a business can be hell. All right, so that's where we are. That's what we're doing today. If you want to join the show, the link to join the show is going to be pinned in the chat. So just take a look at the chat if you are watching on YouTube. Okay, so we'll pin the link to join the show. All right. So it's the link on the screen right now. There's a link which is displaying. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just go to YouTube, click on this link. It will bring you into the show so that we can take your audio, your video, we can hear your thoughts. This is particularly important because generally all across the world, people are going through extremely difficult times. And yesterday we had a conversation yesterday, a meeting with one of like potential collaborators, and in the conversation with that particular collaborator, it became obvious. This particular session came out of that meeting. Most people are facing challenges with revenues, generating revenues, getting paying customers for their businesses, being profitable generally. Okay, and most times people carry the ideas that if you ask people what are your ideas about business, particularly those who have not, if you have never apprenticed under someone in business at some point in time, the ideas you have about business a lot of times is born out of things you read in books, things you watch online or things you watch in movies. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people who are influencers and all that, they don't know anything about business. A lot of times their business is just saying whatever it is that they can say to generate content. Okay, you really want to talk to people who are in the trenches, who run day-to-day businesses, not somebody whose business is built on generating views and the rest. So in today's conversation, that's what we'll be doing. We're bringing people in. But until people come in, I know that I think we should start with you, Lois, because there was a time in which I think we spoke and you mentioned that you
I was into fashion designing.
were into fashion designing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what exactly happened? How long ago was that? When did you start with the fashion design business?
I started fashion designing when I started learning when I was in GSS3. So by
I have no
SS3
idea when you were in GSS3 or how many years ago that was. So probably
that was 2017. Yes. So by 2019, I was done and I was free already. So I actually ventured into the fashion designing business fully.
okay for 4 years. You
Yeah.
were in it for like 4 or 5 years or so.
Yeah. So during that period, it was just going back and forth because there are times you have customers and there are times that you just sit at home and you just look at your sewing machine and you'll be like, when is the next clothes going to come up and stuff like that. So even when there are times that you have to battle with customers.
What do you mean by battle with customers?
You know, when you want to do something for a customer, they feel what you're doing is, how they put it, like is something that is easy to learn. If what you're doing is something that is easy to learn, that they can just easily go and learn it and they can do it by themselves. Most times I think I had this particular customer that I brought this gown and she was like, she wants to make it, and I was like, this is the certain price, and she was like, no, it's not to put lining and put thread and put needle and that's finished. I was like, that's the same machine, sit on it. You can start sewing. It was hilarious, but at the end of the day, it's something that we battle with day to day, because then you have to start driving money from customers. I had taken a even if they call you, keep telling you, okay, I'll come and pick it today, I'll come and pick it tomorrow. So most times I just like, this person's not ready. I think I threatened somebody and I was like, I go use your clothes for wedding. I think the wedding was supposed to go together. It was that early morning of the wedding day that she now came and she was like, she's sorry that she has been busy. And I was like, because you know that I would literally answer you anytime. That's why you're doing like this. So being in that line of business is very, it's not something that, there are days you'll be happy. There are days you'll be like I said, this thing is not, it's not my line at all. This thing is not my line. It's not going the way I want it to be. There are days you want to upgrade. So that's how it is.
Okay, so with what you know now, what would you say exactly was the problem? What would you say exactly is the problem for people in the fashion line generally?
I think our customers are the problem. That's what I'll just say. Because apart from the customers and the outraging price of materials now, because most times when you tell a customer that the price of this good has increased, they'll be like, what happened? And when you tell them the price of the material.
But do you take, is it that you take do you take clothes from people?
Yeah.
It's not that you buy the clothes for them now. It's not like you're buying.
Yeah, I think there was a particular time I bought clothes for somebody, but that one was because it was a bridal trend. So making a bridal trend clothes, I had to go by myself to the market. And that one was, I think that was one of the complicated period of that my career. And we got to the market, I told her the price, and she felt like I was lying to her about it.
Why? The price had gone up or come down?
The price had gone up already. And
Okay.
she felt I was lying to her about it. She had to come down to the market by herself. And when she saw the price, she was like, okay, no problem.
Had she paid you a deposit at that time?
Yeah, she paid me a deposit.
How much?
I think it was around 40k. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got to the market, it was more expensive. I hope you had not spent out of the deposit or something.
No, I've not spent.
Because usually that's where some people say generally across the world, and this, I guess this happens in most African countries, in Nigeria in particular, if a lot of times when people pay artisans, as soon as artisans get the first deposit, what some of them say is they go off to the market to go buy food stuff. Okay, so we've heard that. That's the difficult part. You're saying that customers are extremely difficult to deal with or difficult to get.
Not that customers are difficult to get. The fashion line is a very simple line. If you make clothes for somebody and it comes out very nice, a friend will see it and be like, okay, I like this your clothes. Refer me to your client, your custom, your
Tailor.
fashion designer. And that's how we get most of our clients.
Okay.
So most times when you know you mess up, you just relax because you know that this one never go bring clients. So most times
What's like the percentage of? Okay, so you're saying that are there actually errors when you sew clothes?
yes, there are huge errors. There are points when you just destroy the customer's clothes and then you have to use your own money to get clothes. And these things happen with all these expensive cut lists. So those are one of the...
Isn't it possible to have a way in which probably we're talking about, okay, so we're speaking about, just for anybody who is joining us, you're wondering exactly what we're talking about. So on Wednesdays, the Darkpore Show, previously we speak about relationships and all that. But on Wednesdays, we're starting the School of Business on Wednesdays. I want to talk to everyday people who are either starting a side hustle, starting a new business, you start a new career generally, and figure out exactly what the pain points are and just give counsel. Okay? You may be wondering that what qualifies us to do this? For those of you who know me as a physician, long before I became a physician, I was a graphic designer. I ran a graphic design studio. I ran a small media marketing firm. I consulted for organizations, small organizations, pressure groups, Christian organizations, societies, civil societies, investment firms, and even professional service firms like generally tax and accounting firms. I consulted for them on the marketing part of their businesses. Okay, so we're having this conversation as it deals with people's businesses. So if you run a small business and you're finding it difficult to make the jump or make the leap, come in and then let's have that conversation. At least let's have an idea of exactly where the pressure points are, the difficulties you are facing. And then we'll probably share ideas on things you can do to improve. So that's the whole trust of the wedding. And we'll be doing this on Wednesdays from time to time as we go on. Today, like we said much earlier, today is a test run. So if you're watching this for the first time and you probably notice that there's a bit, not too much of structure, today is our first test run. Okay, so just sit down, enjoy the show. Okay, so you were saying that, I was asking that usually when people are running, when you have clothes like that, why is it not possible to first cut the stuff on, like maybe paper or a less expensive material or so, before you actually sew the final cut? So that you are sure that there are no errors.
Even with that paper, you can still make errors.
Okay.
And if you make error in that paper and you get the same clothes, you make extra error.
Why?
So because you just spoil the clothes. Because the error you've made on paper has been literally transferred to the clothes, and during the process you might be like, okay, I want to reduce it a little, and then go in more than you're supposed to.
Okay, so let me ask this. There's a particular material that is not like paper, but it's like, I don't know, it's not cloth, but it's not as strong as cloth, but it's I won't call it linen or so. It's almost like it's a very, very soft kind of material like this that looks close to paper. Isn't there any way in which you can have a way to test what's the...
Okay, that's stay. I know what you're talking about. That's stay. That's the worst thing to even use.
Okay, so educate me then.
That's the worst thing to even get. It tends to shift a lot, and it's something that is fault. So it's only when you iron it out and you ironing it out, there is something you put under the clothes to be able to be durable.
Okay.
So if you iron it out, whatever gum that is under at that moment has gone. Or gets in the position, if you like on the table, on the clothes, anywhere. At that point, the gum has gone. So it's just you've wasted another piece of material.
Are you saying that there's no way you can predict what the final cloth will look like before you cut it? Is that what you're saying now?
You can predict it. The thing is, most times, customers tend to bring this very complicated styles. There are styles they'll bring, and
you guys listening? Okay.
You'll be like, okay, I don't think I can do this. When I was learning, the first time I made corsets, I learned from my boss, and that was the first time she was making corsets. So she had to go on YouTube for 2 good days. She was going back and forth. She literally used, because she had a fashion warehouse beside her shop. So that's where we get our materials from.
Okay.
So she had to use different brown papers that day. She was wasting it and wasting it and wasting it. At the end of it, it came out nice, but there were little errors on it because it was her first time, and that was when the style just came out. So everybody was doing it. So she
Okay.
knew she had to learn it. It was her first time. It came out somehow, but the person had to manage it because the person did not have a choice. So
Okay.
most times when you bring complicated things and you try it on paper and you see that this thing on paper is looking good, I think I've had that error too, that I'll transfer it to the clothes and I'll cut the clothes and it's looking like that entirely.
Okay. This is, oh my God.
So most times it's using paper. I think paper, then we're told that paper was for apprentices.
Okay.
Paper was for apprentices, and apprentices were supposed to use papers to practice their clothes before they will now bring the materials they're not using at home to practice and all. Now bosses feel like if they use paper, that means that clothes is very, very complicated.
I don't understand what you just said now.
When bosses use paper,
Okay.
like when your boss is using a paper to cut clothes, at that point, don't even near her because she will transfer aggression of clothes to you because that clothes is very, very complicated. I think
What do you mean by complicated? When you say cloth, are you talking about the design?
The design of
is
the clothes is very complicated. For your boss to use paper to use and trace it out and start doing the cuttings, and most times they don't go once, they go twice, 3 times with different papers just to get it. Going on YouTube to watch it. At that point, don't even come close to her.
Okay. All right. So again, you guys, if you're just watching this is Lois. Amade Falami Agumbiade. For the Wednesday's show, we'll be talking to people generally, and the idea behind this conversation is we want to hear what your difficulties are, the pressure points. If you run a small business, if you have like a side hustle and you are struggling to scale your small business or side hustle, and you're wondering what should you do, that's why we're here. We want to see exactly we're here to kind of like give you counsel, give you advice, and see how far along that you can just generally help you improve your business. So the link, if you want to join the chat, again, this is the test run. We'll see if we're figuring lots of things out with the show. But if you want to join, there's a link, the first the comment and the video. Please go to the comment in the video and click. If you want to, just go to the comment on the video and click on this console.tv/guest. And then once you click on that, it brings your video in. All right, so Lois has been talking about her experiences running a small fashion design business. Basically, she takes clothes from people, contract fashion design. People bring clothes to her. She cuts them, sews them, and then she's talking about the complexities generally with customers and with clients and the rest. So, okay, so what would you say the easiest? And just in case you're joining, just let us know exactly where you're joining from. If you're watching this, just help us put in chat your name and where you're watching from. If you're watching this on the replay, just type replay family on the replay. So, okay. So, but in that case, basically what you're saying is that the people who are running fashion design businesses are forced to constantly keep learning new styles.
Yeah, you have new styles come out every day, new designs of clothes, and once it becomes trendy, everybody wants to do it. Even the people you least expect to do them, they want to do it. So at that point, you are forced to go on any available channel, any available like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You have to start going to Pinterest, the likes. You have to start learning how to make them. And most times, you have to practice on yourself first. So you won't make that mistake of destroying somebody's clothes. So if you know you want to destroy your if so you should practice what you've been watching before you take it on
Okay, so
Clients'
what
clothes.
you have spoken right now is you've spoken about production.
Yeah.
But what about the issue of getting people to getting high-paying customers?
I think that's one of the major issues I'm still having. I'm a student, so I made a clothes for one of my lecturers. So it was, I think they had a burial, so I made a clothes. People liked the clothes, but then I don't know what she told them. Somehow, I heard, because I went for the burial too. She was like, she pointed to me and she called me to come, and I went. And she was like, "This is the person that made my clothes." And the woman that was beside her was like, "This small girl." And at that point, I was just like, "What do you mean, this small girl?" Most times they look at if you are capable. Most times they look at your body. I don't know if it's your body, but they look at you. So they use looks to judge if you are capable or you are not capable.
What do you mean by use looks?
If
you're good looking or what?
No, not by good looking, like your physical appearance.
Okay.
Not by your dress code or something. The way the man said, she just said, "This small girl." At that point, I was like, so if I blow one day now, you still say this small girl. It was literally annoying because I knew I had worked in that clothes and that clothes came out very nice because she was busy flaunting herself and carrying her shoulders and
Okay.
everything. I was feeling high in my seat. But they were like, "This small girl," and those talks. But in the end, I think I got about 2-3 customers from her,
Okay.
and I really appreciated her.
But did it fizzle out? You
No.
didn't keep getting new people.
I kept getting new people from them.
Okay.
From them. No, I don't know. This Yoruba women have this. They always attend every party every Saturday, so they always bring new style of new cords, lace, Ankara, Ashwebi, everything. So them going to parties, they tend to. You have to make them look nice because this is your only way of getting customers. So when you make them look nice, it gets where they are going to. They give their clients numbers to they give their fashion designer numbers to their friends.
Okay.
So that's the way they do it. That's the way they do. Most times, your family too. I use my mom a lot to advertise my clothing, though she has to pay me because
Okay.
I know how I learned mine. I use her a lot. So even if there's no wedding, I know. Even if there's a wedding and she doesn't want to go, I'll buy the Ankara and I'll be like, just do your thing and I'll just make it for you. Just choose
Okay.
any style.
I want to stop you. I want to stop you at this point. Because basically, you're not basically really running a business. You're rendering a service.
Yeah.
You are more or less like self-employed.
Yeah.
It's not like you are taking clothes, you sew them, and then after you finish sewing the clothes, you sell them to people. It's not like you have your own.
I did that. I think my ending one.
What was the issue with that?
The issue, I did it online and I was having serious issues.
What was the issue with?
People were believing that it was what they ordered versus what they get.
Okay, what does that mean?
Like when you see something online, that's not what you get physically. So I had to venture in taking them to school. I started taking them to school, going to departments. It was hard at first because they'll be like, next time. But with time, I got to realize that most times, even the price was outrageous at first, especially because I was into ladies wear. So the price was outrageous at first. Then I had to lower my price range. With time, they started buying because I got to this very big department and I noticed that it was mostly girls. I went to where I knew that I would see more of girls than more of guys because that's my area of fashion. I deal with ladies more.
Okay.
So I took the clothes to where the girls were and I made sure they were much. At least, I think, even if they were 10, 2 or 3 would buy.
Okay, so, but you're not doing that anymore presently?
Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Why did you stop it?
Well, I was having issues with balancing school and business at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your own particular situation is slightly different now because you're trying to run a business as a student entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's not as if you are running a business, you've graduated and then you're trying to run a business.
Yeah, that's different.
Well, it's quite tricky. Okay, so in your situation now, what would you do?
In my situation?
Yes, with regards to the fashion design business or the clothing line, what would you do?
In Making clothes, it's how would I put it? You have to be calm. I think calmness is one of the basic things in making
You
clothes.
are hypothesizing. I'm asking that what would you do now? Because obviously you've taken some time off. You no longer have,
Yeah. I'll usually venture back into my fashion business, and this time I think I'm going bigger.
what would you do?
I
I'm,
would,
I'm trying to force you to reflect based off because obviously you have one of the problems you have is you have a problem with you have a problem in the sense that you constantly have to adjust your skill sets to what is currently existing in the
Yeah.
market. Whatever is fashion, you need to have the skill to be able to
learn it.
pull out that fashion. You also need to find people who can afford to pay for the kind of clothes that you make enough for you to be able to make a profit off it. And that's hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
What's on average like how much do customers pay you on average per cloth?
I think for the lowest should be 5,000, yeah, 5,000.
And how much of that is pure profit?
That 5,000 is just boo like this free gowns. I know I'm not spending anything. The only thing I'm buying is thread.
Yeah, but you're spending your time now.
Yeah.
And usually how long does it take you to
It depends on the design.
on average? You
Yeah,
have to
I think-
average it out.
The lowest is an hour.
To finish.
Yeah.
You spend an hour to cut and finish sewing and finish
Yeah.
everything within 1 hour.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Then why is it that fashion designers give you the impression that it probably takes them like 2-3 days or so to output clothes?
Sometimes we fashion designers are lazy. We're very lazy. We want to relax, chill. And I've noticed this thing. It is the dying moment that we fashion designers not start. Okay, let me start cutting this clothes.
Are you serious?
That's why I feel you just want to chill. Then when the person is in urgent need of it, like maybe a day or two, that's when you start rushing to make the clothes. There are clothes that take 2 days to make.
Why will it take 2 days to make?
Because the embroidery, the beadings, the attachments, you want to add hip pad, you want to add breast pad, everything is there. So by the time you join this one, the clothes becomes very heavy. You have to put the bead, you have to make embroideries, and by the time you are done, you see that you even have to stay overnight. You
Okay.
can stay from the next.
But so does it cost almost the same? Does it cost almost the same as All right. So what I'm trying to articulate right now is this, because these are my own thoughts. Each time you had something new to whatever it is you're doing, you're entering a new line of business.
Yeah.
And I think I know people who the only clothes they sew are school uniforms. There are people like that all they sew, they don't sew anything else. They just sew school uniforms alone. So in your own particular case, you only sew like female wear.
Yeah, I'm so the female wear.
What's the average age of who is your typical customer?
I think 60s. Those in their 60s.
So you only sew clothes for 60-year-olds?
No, I think you said
Who is your
oldest.
typical customer?
It's mostly the younger girls from the age 18 to maybe 25, 26.
And how frequently do they sew clothes in a year?
In a year.
As opposed, because people always have the option of buying either they buy brand new clothes, or they even buy used clothes. They are like thrift stores and all that sell clothes, so they don't necessarily have to buy your clothes.
That's true. It's not. I wouldn't say very frequently, because I feel most times when they know it's mostly Ankaras they sew.
I'm trying to analyze your business from a perspective of I'm trying to look at it from somebody who doesn't run the business at all, because each time you change something, if you're running a business, each time you change something, you would have to, there's a learning curve to become good at it. So for example, you end up finding out that there are the stores, the clothes we wear. When I mean the clothes we wear, I mean the kind of clothes that you see regularly bought in stores. If you get there, you'll find that a lot of those clothes, there are some of them that they have standard designs. They have machines. Those machines cut the clothes like 20, 50 at once. You've seen those machines, and they'll cut directly 50 from the material directly. So those people, their line of business is, there are some people that their line of business will just make suits. Those suits are going to be made in progressively bigger sizes, 50, 48, those kind of sizes.
Yeah.
That's their business. So they are not doing what you are doing, in which they are because basically what you are doing is you are custom fitting clothes for people. You are creating custom fit clothes for people. That's what you are doing. You're not. It's not like you're creating mass. You're not mass producing clothes that are displayed on shelves. And custom fitting clothes for people is a personal service, and it's going to take a lot of. Each time you are adjusting things, you have to learn. You have to learn like a wide variety of skills. You get me? Yeah. So that's why and the problem with that is that it doesn't lend itself to, you can't really sit down and plan long term on them, because you're constantly learning new skills, new additional skills in the design, as opposed to if you have a particular area in which there's something which you're doing and you can mass produce it. So that's the question I'm asking. It's not possible. Is it possible to mass produce clothes?
Mass produce clothes. I think when you're talking about mass produce for my kind of line, it has to do with maybe the Ashwebi girls, the bridal train, or a group of friends that want to make the style at the same time, same style, or maybe even different style, but the same materials. So that kind of line is, for me, it's kind of hard most times to get to that kind of range. For me to meet people that want to make the same clothes at the same time.
Okay.
So most times when I meet those set of people, mostly the bridal trends, those that do the bridal trends, it takes time. It's that particular aspect, it's a lot of time. So most times I try to run away from it. Though it pays well, but when I know that this particular thing to take me 2 weeks or even 3 weeks.
Because you have to design each person's.
You have to
like custom fit each person separately. Okay, so I will stop you. We'll come back to you. I noticed that someone has a comment. I don't know who this person is. Saying that, what's the assurance that the new style I learned, customer will patronize at this point where the economy is crazy? I don't know if you want to respond to that, but briefly, we'll just quickly talk. People, you've been wondering exactly what this is. So this is. We are waiting for everyday people who have, if you're running a business, if you have a small business and you're having difficulty with your small business and you want someone to listen to what it is, just take a listen to the difficulties you are facing. Perhaps you're having a difficult time finding funding to start your business, or perhaps you started your business and you know the way it is when people run a business. Initially, you're excited about it. It's a great thing. You're happy. I'm my own boss. I'm going to change the world. And then 6 months down the line, you start realizing that I have a new job, and the job I have, I am my own boss. And a lot of times, probably you're just tired. Perhaps things are not working the way you expect. Money is not coming in the rate at which you expect, or you've experienced a loss. Maybe you output somebody's clothes, and then the clothes is by
yourself. Maybe it's around 50 grand, and you know that you have to get it by yourself.
You have to replace the material and all that. So it's crazy like that. So we're asking people to come in. If you have business challenges and you are in the chat and you're watching this, we want to hear what your challenge is. Okay, they say that there is a problem shared is a problem half solved. Okay, so we want to hear a challenge. So if you want to come in, just click on this link. And we'll be doing this regularly on Wednesdays. We're calling it School of Business. The idea is we need to see how at least there's growth of homegrown businesses in Nigeria and on the African continent. And so if you're Nigerian, if you're watching from any part of Africa, and you have challenges right now, on Wednesdays, we'll be doing this. We'll be talking about business, work, and career challenges. All right? And then just come in, let us know exactly what your challenges are, your headaches, the headaches you're dealing with. Okay, we're still testing the show out, so there are a bit of glitches here and there, but with time we'll get there. We'll get better with the show. Okay, so you were saying
to that particular comment. So can I read that again?
Okay, so the comment says that, what's the assurance that the new style I learn, customer will patronize at this point when the economy is crazy?
The new style you learn,
I think this person is
Customers
responding to, you spoke much earlier. At a particular point, what you said was that you have to constantly keep learning new styles
Yes.
in the fashion design line of business.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this person is asking that what's the assurance that the new style he learned, after learning new styles, customers will come in. Customers will patronize the new style. That's basically what he's asking.
Firstly, like I said earlier, I use my family to advertise and I use myself to advertise too. So if someone likes the clothes that is on you, and no matter the price, if the person loves that clothes, and be like, okay, I love your clothes, who made it? And you say me, I made my clothes myself. The person like, okay, no problem. Can you help me? Now the problem is when you start battling with price. That's where you have issues with that's where you start having issues with the problem, the client. Going back and forth a particular price because they would literally want to go to the lowest that they can go, and you would not want to because you feel like this price is not profitable for me. I feel you should just how would I say it? How would I say it?
I don't think you have solved this problem personally.
Probably no. This mostly advertising. I think this line of business, you produce yourself, you advertise your products by yourself. It is only when you advertise your product that if I don't wear clothes, if I don't make clothes and wear them, people will know I make clothes. So it's very simple. When someone likes the clothes that is on me, I'll be like, I like your clothes, or who made it? And you say me, and they'll be like, okay, you make clothes. Yes, probably I should come and try you one day. It is a very simple something. If the person says, okay, you say it's in this current Nigerian economy, you don't know if the customers patronize you. They will. One thing is if they like that clothes, and maybe they've seen it on somebody that you've made it for, or maybe yourself, they will definitely patronize you. That is a very sure thing. They will definitely patronize you. Except if the person says, okay, I don't want to give this person my clothes. That is when you start having issues. Or maybe if you've made glitches before, and maybe if you made mistakes with other customers before, and be like, I saw this, maybe the person says, a friend of yours, and like, a person says, this person doesn't know how to make clothes. That's when you start having issues. If a person wants to sew clothes, anybody that buys Ankara definitely have an intention to make it. You won't buy something that you don't want to make use of. You won't buy something that you don't want to make use of.
Okay, so if you guys are watching and all that, again, I would say for those guys who are watching, this live stream is like a diagnostic. We want to hear. People are going through crazy times running their personal businesses. I will tell you this, Lois, I don't think you're running multiple businesses at the same time. And it's one of the issues. It's not a business. You are self-employed. You're self-employed. You are renting out your services person to person. Okay? Yeah. Basically, what you're doing is similar to like being a barber. That's basically what it is. It's quite similar. The barbers are supposed to cut. All right? And what you're doing is slightly different from anyone who is you might have to find a way to transform this skill into a commodity that you can sell independent of, and that's the tricky part. Okay, it's a commodity that you can sell independent of rendering the service, because there are two ways to this thing. Right, there are two ways to it. On one end, when people do what you do, there are just two ways. There are two ways they can become extremely successful. There are just two ways they can become extremely successful with what they do. If you are rendering this service, you sell your service only to rich people. So that means that if you're going to sew clothes for them, the extremely wealthy people, you are billing them maybe 200,000, all right, for the service. It's either that, or you find a way to make lots of standardized clothes that you sell to middle income average people. But those are the only two ways to make a living in the service business. And I'll tell you, in most service business, that's the only way to make a living. So how do you mean by that? Let's assume there's something like a universal healthcare worker. Let's just assume. I'm using medicine now as an example. The person is If the person wants to be an healthcare worker, he renders his healthcare service to wealthy people, or he finds a way to create a product that lots of average middle income people can purchase. And for example, you can render personalized service to rich people, or you can create like tablets and other things that you can sell to poor people. But if you want to render personalized service to middle income and poor people, usually it's difficult because they can't afford to pay much. For example, if the person who gave you the cloth was wealthy enough that the amount of what you are generating from the service is such that if the cloth had glitches, you can buy that material again and still make a profit, then you wouldn't have a problem. The type of problem challenges you will face is that a lot of times the person who is bringing list material of 40,000 for you to customize for them can only afford to pay you 5,000 naira for the sewing. And then if there's any issue with the material, you would have to sew 8 different clothes there to make it back. That's the challenge. So there are 2 ways. All right. The very first way is at one point you have to find a way to sell to very wealthy people. And it means that you would have to take yourself out of the immediate vicinity where you are and go work and go live in neighborhoods, or go work in neighborhoods where you have lots of wealthy people. Or you find a way to set up like a small factory kind of that can produce inexpensive clothing items for everyday people to buy. And so those clothing items become standardized. There's no such thing as mistake. You have standard, and that's the tricky part. Now, which leads me to the next question. On average, how much do people have to buy clothes in a year? How much do people allocate in your neighborhood for clothes?
In a year, I can't really say. Yes, it's mostly Ankaras I deal with.
I know, but you should have, for example, okay. So how many clothes have you sewn like in the past 1 year?
In the past 1 year?
Yes.
Close to 50.
Close to 50 in the past 1 year.
Yes.
And they are majorly Ankaras.
Yes.
How many of them came from the same kind of person?
Like the same kind of person. I think I had somebody that brought about 12. Yeah.
12. Was it a wedding?
Yeah, it was a wedding. No, I mean not the person did not bring 12 the same Ankara also, but the person came 12 different times.
For a wedding?
Yeah, but different Ankaras, different materials.
Okay, so the person was buying the whatever for a wedding.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's tricky because usually for most weddings, people will not standardize clothes. They don't want standardized clothes. Was there any of your customers at any time that had like regular regular clothes that they were buying which were not for weddings, maybe for like work clothes?
Yeah, I had someone. She's an influencer.
Okay.
She's not like a big influencer, like content creator. So she makes clothes. She goes to different restaurants to take pictures and stuff.
Okay.
So I make clothes for her every time, mostly dinner wears. So
okay.
I make clothes for her. During the last year, I think I made close to.
How much did you bill her for the clothes?
I think her clothes I was paying around 10-15K.
Okay. And then she paid.
Yeah, she paid. She got her material herself, and the only thing she had to do was pay me, and I'll make her clothes for her.
Okay. How about? But was there anybody that? What I'm asking is because basically what you've narrated is that almost everybody who is sewing clothes for you, they're doing it purely for fashion reasons. The clothes are not practical. Yeah. You're not sewing practical. You're not sewing clothes that people wear to work.
No.
That makes your business extremely tricky.
I don't understand.
You don't say how tricky. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you why it's tricky. If you are selling clothes to people for work clothes that people will wear on a regular basis, recurring basis, that there are people who are buying the clothes from you because the clothes are durable. All right, you can easily standardize it. It may be okay, fine. For a lot of people, they want their clothes to be stylish, but more often than not, people want work clothes. What matters for people when they are working is durability. So, for example, if I'm just using as an example now, the woman who works in a supermarket, the people who work in not supermarket, and people who work in a restaurant who need aprons. They want the aprons to be stylish, but much more than that, they want the aprons to be durable.
Yeah.
You don't want aprons that you don't want to be changing aprons every day.
Yes.
You want aprons that are durable. Okay, so if you are, I'm just using an illustration. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm not saying that, okay? But if it were possible to create aprons, if you notice that you have like a huge line of people who need aprons, because maybe there are like lots of people that run restaurants and they need aprons. They need aprons that are durable, clean, durable aprons that are easy to clean. And there are a large amount of them, and they probably can buy like 12 aprons from you. Maybe at least once a year. And you probably can get like 1,000 of them. Then you can sit down and standardize aprons.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah, I understand.
So those are work clothes. But what you are doing is this: you are customizing for each person. And as you are customizing for each person, you are not charging enough to scale. Because the thing about this right now, you are customizing for people who are not, you cannot make enough margins of what you are doing. That's you, I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Okay, so I will use a similar illustration. Imagine if each time people needed to take drugs, they had to have a pharmacist physically grind the drugs for them. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to physically grind, and they grind the drug to match, the dose has to match you. Effectively, what pharmaceutical companies have done is they've been able to set their drugs in doses that you sit down, and if you follow a prescription, you really want to make sure to take the dose yourself. You get me?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's on one end. On the other end, now if anybody is ill and the person needs to physically get them to adjust his medicine for him, he's not going to pay the same amount he will pay. That service will cost far more than if the person is just buying a sachet of medicine. I'm using that as an illustration. So in your own case right now, what's happening is this: people are paying you 5,000. I'm not saying if you continue down that line in which you keep collecting 5,000 naira from people, all right, it's going to be extremely difficult to grow, because that 5,000 probably will go into.
I think it was for a particular style. Anything other than that style, I don't collect anything less than 5,000.
You're still not getting. Okay, so on average, how much do you charge for your services?
On average,
Yeah.
it's usually from 10k and above.
So you charge 10k.
Yes, I charge 10k and above.
You charge 10k and above for your services. Okay. Now, the service that you render to people, the reason why it's probably easy for you to render those services now is because you're not married now. You're single. You don't have children.
Yeah.
So you still have a lot of free time on your hands. Okay, so on average, the service you charge 10,000-15,000 for, how much time do you spend to deliver that service?
I usually say, I used to tell them they should come back maybe like a week time, but usually it's just a day stuff.
Okay, so if you are at full capacity, how many clothes can you sew in a month? If you had clothes back to back every day?
I think I got so close to 20 or 25.
Okay, 20-25.
Yeah.
What's the maximum? How much would you charge on average for each cloth?
On average?
Yes.
Like I said, it depends on the style, but for
no, average. Average means that regardless of whatever the style is, yes.
10 grand.
10 grand. So 25 times 10.
That's
250 grand. So roughly, at maximum capacity in a month, you are putting like, in a year, at maximum capacity, you're putting like 3M. Okay, customizing. Now, what I am saying right now is that even at that maximum capacity, it becomes extremely difficult to grow from that. That's what I am saying. That even if you get clients that will come back to back, and of those ones that come back to back, if there's an error, how many days does it take you to correct the error?
If there's an error, tell you to come the next day. It's that simple.
No, what I mean is how many days would you need to work? For example, there's an error on somebody's cloth now, and you have to buy that cloth and resew it. How many days would you need to?
It will take 3 days because
No. I'm not saying that how many days will you take it to correct the error. I mean that For example,
To
okay, let's
get
use an
it.
illustration now. Somebody brings a cloth of 40,000 naira
Okay.
to you. Okay, the person's supposed to pay you 5,000. There's an error on that cloth.
Not
So-
25,000 for 40,000 outlet.
Okay, so how much you pay for?
For something like that, pay close to 10 grand. You pay 10 grand and above because you can't pay. That clothes is expensive. You know?
For illustration purpose, but
Eh,
listen,
okay.
don't be.
No,
Okay.
yes.
What I am saying, what we are saying, this is it. If someone comes to you now, what's the average cost of the cloth they bring to you to sew, roughly?
It's usually 20-25.
Okay, so for a 25k cloth,
Yeah.
how much do you, as a person, for a 25k charge for sewing a 25k cloth?
Average is 10k.
The average is 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what I'm asking is that if there's an error on that 25k cloth, and you now have to buy a new batch of 25k cloth, how many days will you have to work to make the money to pay for that 25k?
I think a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Okay, so technically, let's per month. Let's just assume. I'm not saying that you have one error per month. If you're working at full capacity, what it means is that technically you can only work for, you can't sew 20. Your profits will drop.
Yeah.
So roughly, let's assume your profits are let's assume at full capacity, your profits are 200 grand. Even at that, you can't scale that because each time you are rendering bespoke services, you are rendering customized services. So you just have two options. The one option is move out of wherever it is you are and find a neighborhood where you have people that can pay you much more, or raise enough money to start a clothing line for an item that people need to use on a regular basis every day. Those are the two options. Any option in the middle is going to keep you keep working back to back. You can't break out. That's basically where I'm going. So that's why you find out that most fashion lines end up falling in two categories. It's that they are fashion designers there for the rich, or they have a factory and they mass produce. But if you are a fashion designer for the poor, you will not grow. That's the point. That's where we're going with it. I don't know if there's anybody that disagrees with us. I noticed that we have someone in the chat, Agbolade Victoria. Okay, so what are we discussing today? Most of you may be wondering exactly where we are. Okay, we see Chimsy Comfort saying 100. All right, we saw someone who wanted to join the chat. We're testing out this style, okay? Just in case you are new, you are wondering exactly what's going on here. We're testing out this particular style. On Wednesdays, we want to interface with people who are running businesses and learn exactly what the headaches they are facing in their business, and then give them practical advice that probably can help them scale their business, okay? It's tricky. Sometimes the kind of may have skills, and that's the reason why a lot of people travel out of the country. Because sometimes people have skills, but they just find out that the skills that they have, if they are going to make progress with the business they are running, they have to find customers who can pay more. And a lot of people may just find that those customers, like I know of a particular, the guy paints cars. He used to paint cars. Okay, and the guy was quite good. As far back as, we're talking about 6 years ago, he didn't paint a car for me, but he painted a car for a panel beater also. And I think then he was charging about 50,000 for the car. That would include the paint. So when you pay him the cost of paint and all that, they will paint the car, they will bake it, the car will look good and everything. He was charging 50K, and it was extremely good. By the time he's done painting the car, you think that it's brand new. It's the color that came with the car. But he wasn't getting as much sales because each time we'll tell you 50 grand. Some people price it 20. So it was difficult to grow. Next thing I saw, the guy traveled to Spain. In fact, now in Spain, that's what he does. I can't remember his Instagram handle, but the guy, he sets cameras up and he shows himself painting cars in Spain. He's not well educated. I don't think he has more than a JS3 education. Okay, but he had to relocate out. So he has a paint shop in Spain, and the guy paints cars for the rich. Well, I don't know whether they are rich, but compared to Nigeria, they are wealthier. So if I'm going to give you counsel, this is the counsel I will give you. And so that basically, if you're going to sew for, if you keep sewing for, I don't want to call poor people, but when I mean poor, everybody, you understand what I mean now. Most people in African countries are poor. So if you keep sewing clothes for people who, the profit from what you earn from them, you cannot build a factory with it. That's what I mean. That's my definition. If you keep sewing clothes for that category, just have it in mind that the only reason why you're probably doing that is just to acquire enough skill. You acquire enough skill from them so that you can render your service to people who can afford to pay. So, but it's not from a long-term perspective. You can't scale with that. And so you see versions of it. And I keep using hospital examples. There's a particular professor who I know, and what he does by way of service is he does surgeries. He does eye surgeries. Okay. So usually the people that train on that, what they do is they will go into rural villages. You can go into like a northern village, maybe somewhere like a village at the outskirts of Adamawa or Niger State, where there are lots of people that have cataract and all manner of eye problems. And so they will just say they're doing free eye surgery for 1 week. Usually they do it.
Something like that on TV too.
You've seen, okay. So let me tell you, when you see those free eye surgeries, let me tell you what's going on behind the scene that most people don't see. In that free eye surgery, what they do is the guy will go with his assistant. They will line people up. And for 1 week, their goal is that they will do at least 200 surgeries per day. You're wondering how can one person do 200 surgeries? They've built a system, and their system helps them to remove cataracts from people's eyes within 5-10 minutes.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
In fact, they call it small incision cataract surgery. They make a very small incision, they put the stuff in, they tease out the cataract, they water it, they dial in the posterior chamber intraocular lens. There's like small plastic lens they will put inside. In 5 minutes, somebody will sit down, they will put anesthetic here and here to block so that the eye does not move. They make the incision at the edge of the black and the white parts. And so that particular 1 week's that 1 week free eye surgery in which they want to do 1,000. Usually they do a lot of that to up the skills of the people so that when they are now doing the eye of a minister, they won't make mistake.
Okay, I understand that.
You understand me?
Yes.
Because the guy with the cataract surgery, his eye is already blind in the first place. So the best, whatever it is you do for you, help him to improve. You understand? So what I am saying is that at this particular point in time, just have it at the back of your mind that don't see yourself as if you're running a business, really. I think probably you should just take a look at the fact that I'm acquiring skills to deal with. You get me? But if you keep serving that particular population, you can go and write it down. If you keep serving them, you won't grow with it. If you look at a lot of the tailors and that's why you end up finding out that you have people that they say they're doing tailoring. Well, why are you smiling? Okay, you have an idea where I'm going next.
Yeah.
What? Tell me what.
Yeah, I think most of them just say they are doing tailoring, and I just
what?
It's
No, let me hear you now. Let me hear what you say.
No, I think I've met, according to my mom. My mom would say most of them out there now, they're not even tailors again.
What are they?
They are just there's this what she used to say, fix it and treat people. They just do it just because they want to do it. They're doing it based on just want to survive. Let them see something to eat.
Okay, that's not even where I was going. Where I was going was that there are lots of people who say that they're doing tailoring now. Who actually they're selling under service. Tailoring is just a front.
So it's like
you know what I mean now. when you see somebody who is selling maybe carrot oil, boxers, all those things, selling beauty products, and
they just put in front of their shops.
Put in front of their shops and it's on their Instagram handle, and then they're asking you to call for booking. It's a lot of times it's all right. So that's that. Nobody came on the live today. All right, so we'll see you next Wednesday. I don't know if there's anything else you want to discuss. No. Okay, we'll see you on the next one. All right, so next week Wednesday we'll be talking about this. People coming up with their issues, their challenges. If you have any problem, if you need counsel and advice, you need help with business work issues, send us an email. Okay, we're here to advise. All right, so send us an email. We'll take a look at the situation, listen to it. It's a test run, so we'll be test running every Wednesday throughout the month of June, and then by July, definitely things will pick up. So thank you very much for joining us. For the 2 people that joined us throughout the live stream, thank you very much. All right, so we'll see you on the next one. Okay, so since I guess it's one of those things. You just have it at the back of your mind that if you are going to if you are going to do this stuff, for example, take for example the way the show is going right now. All what we're doing is also a test run.
Yeah.
We're bringing people in. In fact, I would say that a lot of people that came when we're doing the proper that old show. Remember the old show that we do, in which we bring people into the the second set of podcasts when we brought people in. Usually, what at that time, I hate to say this because these people may not like. A lot of people may not like the things that we. A lot of folks don't like my opinion, but a lot of people that came in during that show, we said it as a goal throughout last year. The idea was I wanted to test out the equipment. And for the very, very first one, two people were not recording. If it's good, we'll publish. If it's not good, but well, like you have to test the show out. You have to see. You get feedback. Okay, this resonates. Who does not resonate? This does not resonate with people. And then, so sometimes that's kind of like the way. That's the approach that you have to take with regards to some of these things. If you're running a business, you may have to see it as if, okay, if guys are working with me at this point, people I'm working for, we're done with the show. The show has closed out. Just in case you are watching, guys. No, let's just take on our conversation behind the scenes. The show has closed out. We're just having this conversation this is just behind the scenes. We have closed the show. So can you imagine? Fun Splash is now joining after we have closed the show. You guys are not serious. Let's show your comments. Yeah, Fun Splash. It's good to have you guys. Okay. So we're done with the show. However, what I was saying is that usually at the very, very beginning, when people are kind of like have to acquire skills and all manner of things, it's you're gonna have to do a lot of work that is considered free work. And you would, like, I remember when I started out learning graphic design, it was the first 6 months, 1 year was brutal. You make mistakes. You do design for someone, you hand over the design. The worst part of the design, you're still on set now. Okay. The worst part of the design is that you would be, imagine you've done a design for someone, you take it to the press. When you now run the printing, the press, your design is great. You have 0% control over what the press is printing. You understand? You have 0%. You can do your design, it's a perfect design. By the time it gets to the press, it's complete rubbish. Okay? And then by the time you deliver the job to clients, some of the clients will tell you that, what would they even say? Some of those clients will say that, suppose they don't want the work, or they want their money back. I still remember one that was crazy then. The job was supposed to, and this was many years ago. I'm talking about 2015. I still remember, that's 2015, 2009. That was 15 years ago. I picked up a design job. The design job was supposed to cost 140k. The client paid 150. So everything plus my design plus in today's naira, that's like picking like a job of 1.5 million, and the job is going to cost you 1.4 million, and you just have 100,000 to coordinate all the things you're doing. And by the time I transported myself and moved up and down, did the design, burnt fuel for the generator to do the design and all that, the 100k was gone. So all was left was the way to complete job. Because I handed over the job to someone I kind of like outsourced some part of the job. The person I outsourced the part of the job to did rubbish and disappeared. You get? So that's how I now had a debt of 140k, 1.4 million today on my neck off a project. You get? So usually when people start out, and it's one of the things that kind of has informed the format that we run now. Some people, because when you do if you are doing production for that, for example, we have a production studio, we can take production from outside. And we've had people who say that okay, they are doing this stuff, they want productions and all that. But I've had people kind of like approach personally. So by the time you sit down and you calculate the cost of the production, handling their production, and calculate what the output will look like, you realize that by the time, if let's give an example now. Let's assume somebody engages you for their wedding, and then you're not done with the production. The person now says that he doesn't like what the production is. You have a problem in your hands because they can't do the wedding all over again, and you have used up that. So now you now have footage that you cannot use. So the only way to go around that is whatever jobs you are doing. That's why people say that if you are training with somebody and the person was teaching you and the person is giving you opportunity to learn, you are avoiding debt. For example, when you're working with your boss and the person was to give you cloth to sew, the process of learning how to sew those clothes here, you are saving yourself, because if you didn't have those clothes and you had to learn by yourself by practicing on other people's clothes, the debt will pile up.
Yeah.
You get. So, but I would just say the only way to get ahead with this stuff is one just has to, you have to sell to extremely rich people, or you have to make small units to sell to lots of poor people.
Yeah, I was thinking of advancing. I was thinking of going for an intensive class, a 3 months class next year. Yeah.